All right, I am here with AyyTrae, the lovely and talented. I'm sure a lot of you already know who she is, but actually for those of us who don't know you, if you'd like to just give a quick introduction of yourself.
Yeah, totally. Hi, I'm AyyTrae. I love all things sci-fi. You may have seen me around on the internet, either streaming or talking about my wild, wacky MCU theories over on New Rockstars. Also have a tendency to have like a random clip or a video of some sort go mildly viral every year. So you might have seen me as either the girl that looks like Steve from Blue's Clues earlier this year, back in like what, February, or I also kind of a video blew up because I kind of look like Post Malone a couple years ago as well. So you might have seen me over there, but I always love doing, in the past, like IRL streams. I love chatting, playing games, playing music, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I kind of know you as like a jack of all trades. Like I feel like you do a little bit of everything and you do it all really, really well, whether it be like cosplay pictures or, the music that you do, or I met you through SideQuest Chat Ventures. So like your IRL streams is, I guess, the first major impression I had of you, but you are very easy to talk to and get to know. I was worried because it was the first thing I had done, but it was so much fun running around.
Yeah, well, not only was it the first, so you're saying it was the first thing you'd done, but also it was our first time meeting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, it should go well.
Yeah, it was one of those where I was like, okay, I don't like, I've never met her before, don't know her very well, but it could go either way. But
Yeah.
it was a good time. And you, I since I ended up driving us down to where we went, I was extra nervous that I would do something wrong driving, but it went pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I wouldn't have judged too hard. I mean, it's like, I've been in LA for a few years. I'm used to some wacky driving as well. But yeah, the funny part with that show with SideQuest is they just kind of handed me like sorry, there's a bug, an IRL backpack, and they're like, okay, you're hanging out with this person today, and I was like, okay, let's go. And then hope I don't get lost around town, and hope that the backpack doesn't break.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, just kind of rolling with the punches.
Exactly, but I think we're hanging out over in, where was it, like Long Beach?
Yeah.
Long Beach. And we were hanging out and it was a good time. It was really nice. What did we end up doing? I feel like we just like went
we got
walking around.
Coffee, I think. We saw a small dog. There was a little dog, and oh, we got the hot Cheeto mac and cheese.
Yeah, and you got that super cool shirt.
Oh my, I wear it to bed most nights. Like
really?
I actively, it's like probably my go-to sleep shirt now.
Okay, that makes me feel good. So I'm tied to some very good memories,
yeah
hopefully.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. So a lot of the questions that I have to start out are more streaming specific, and then I have ones that are more kind of about you, I guess not necessarily outside of streaming, but I guess just beyond it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So just kind of starting off, how long have you been streaming? When did you start, and kind of what got you into it?
So I actually just counted this out on my fingers today, but I was trying to figure out when exactly I started streaming, and I think my first stream was around summer, or like around like August, September in 2017. So I technically, since I had my first stream, even though I wasn't like taking it super seriously, I think it's been about 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I just realized that today. I was like, oh my God, I feel so weird about this because the time flies, right? And that just gives me an existential crisis a little bit. Cause like, before I know it, 5
Yeah.
more. Oh no. But I think I've been full time for maybe 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, it's like I said, apparently I have no concept of time anymore. So I'm like, I know it's been a couple years.
Yeah,
I think it's been 3, and it's been a wild ride. Streaming is such an interesting line of work, so to speak, because you're always trying to go with the punches and go with the flow and figure out your voice. And the entire time, that whole 5 years where I've been streaming, it's been consistently doing that. And so I imagine it's going to keep continuing, and I'm sure, you know, you've experienced some of that as well, but it's been fun.
Yeah. How do you think that from, you know, your starting point to now, how would you say that your stream has evolved, and how have you kind of settled into, you know, your thing and who you are and what your stream is?
Oh my God, that's a big question. Well, here's the thing too, is it's always changing just a little bit, but I think one of the main things, since I originally started, I was doing it, I was working a full-time job like up in the Bay Area when I first started streaming, and a lot of the people I was surrounded by at the time were cool people. I just had a hard time relating to them over things like music and video games, and I was sort of craving those conversations, so I decided to start live streaming and seeing if maybe some similar minded people would come in and we could start up some cool, you know, conversations. And now, you know, I started off with games, I moved to LA and I started doing a lot of IRL streaming, and you know, the powers that be, 2020 happened and brought me a little bit more indoors, and so I've been plowing through games. I think my average right now is 3 days per, you know, like a normal, not open world type game. And one of the biggest things I think I've noticed is music, because I started playing guitar when I was a teenager, and I started singing to, you know, accompany that. And I don't think I would have really sung or anything at all if I hadn't started playing that instrument. But I decided, oh, it might be fun to incorporate it into stream a little bit. And I remember when I first started playing, I would only play maybe like 2 songs, and I was really shy about it. But you know, I figured I might as well do it, because it's something that's fun that I can add and make it unique. And people ended up really liking the music. So now music has become its own like section of the stream. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I didn't even see coming that became like a rock in every stream.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I have no concept of time, but it must have been a couple of months ago, or probably longer than I remember, but like you released a music video, I believe.
Yeah. So last year, I need to just sit down and make some more music. I'm always writing it, but the whole process of recording and, you know, doing the like final touches is a little daunting for me.
Yeah.
But I did release a single last year. It's called Words of Prey.
That's right. Yeah.
It's Prey. It came out in September, and there's a music video and everything attached to that. I can try to pull up a link, or maybe someone can pull up a link for you, but yeah.
I can send one of my mods on a link hunt, because I know it's probably somewhere in your socials, right? I mean, if you linked your YouTube or something and it's there, or
I mean, just you could also just YouTube Words of Prey, and I feel like it'll come up.
True.
Just like Angelica Trae, Words of Prey.
Okay, Cowboy, I'm sending you on this quest.
Cowboy, you got this.
So you mentioned that the pandemic brought you inside more, because you were doing a lot of IRL stuff. Do you think that that's going to change and impact going forward as things hopefully ease up? Do you think you'll continue to do more stuff inside, or move back to doing mostly outside?
I'm gonna be completely candid with you. IRL streaming, especially, I don't know how it works with all of the DMCA stuff that went down last year, where now there's so many rules around music, and I don't know how exactly that fits in with IRL stuff, since music will just play out of restaurants. But I imagine I won't be doing as much IRL as I used to, which is in real life, like outdoor streaming. That being said, I do want to travel as things open up, and I definitely do want to stream for probably short periods of time while I'm traveling. You know, I don't want to, I want to still be able to do IRL streams, and I want to still be able to have that flexibility with the stream and be able to show people that may not have the resources to travel the world when I travel. But as of now, I don't really have any major plans to switch back at the same like amount that I used to IRL stream.
Yeah.
Because of those reasons, and then also IRL streaming is just juggling so much at once. It's you burn like twice as much fuel in half the time than when you're streaming at home.
Oh, for sure.
At least for okay, you agree? I was like, that's my experience.
Oh yeah. Well, because it's also like you're walking around, you're navigating everything, and you're on, and you're, you know, so it's so much, and you have to make sure that you're
reading chat.
Yep.
Making sure no one's like breaking TOS behind you, watching your surroundings. If someone starts like people are also kind of staring at you in public, so you have to also like mentally put up these, you go through this whole mental process of like, okay, I can't worry about what, you know, these people are thinking, and I worry about what this chat is thinking, and you know, before you're going into a place, you want to make sure that they're cool with the stream and everything. Yeah, I feel like the other thing that I know is difficult is that, you know, some people have the IRL backpacks, which, you know, are really, really neat things, but they're expensive, and it's not like you buy it and you're done. You got to pay for the modems that go into it. Like, I didn't realize how extensive having something like that is. Yeah, it's essentially, for lack of better terms, because I'm not like the most knowledgeable in this, but for lack of better terms, it's like paying for however many, you know, plans. Like if you want to get the Verizon one, you have to get, depending on what towers or whatever is going on, like what's available in the area that you are currently streaming in. It's like you need the Verizon one, you need the like AT&T one, like all this data that hopefully will connect to, you know, multiples of wherever, I forget the word I want for it, but like you know, connectivity that is available in that area, and hoping that it gets covered and nothing drops. And so you're essentially paying, like, imagine chat, like you're paying multiple like cell phone unlimited data cards every month. Oh my gosh. Just to wear this like 20-pound backpack. Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's heavy. There's so many other. It gets hot. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I heard someone say that each modem was like potentially $200 a month, depending on what you're paying for. But say that you have like two to four plans, like that's an extra $800 per month, you know. Which I'm like, rent is already enough. Yeah, exactly. That's essentially like rent if you're renting out, you know, a room in LA. But it's pretty wild. And, you know, as a streamer, you always have to like keep in mind too that you are running a business, so you don't want to be spending more money than you're making. Yeah, exactly. And so that you can be able to pay rent and things like that. So it's definitely an investment getting those backpacks. Oh yeah. And then God forbid it's hot outside and now you're lugging that around. Yeah. And oh my gosh. Something breaks and you're like, which thing is it? Yeah, exactly. Then you've got to rummage through all the wires and figure out if something is disconnected, and it's just one like weird HDMI that you now have to replace. It's like something really easy but frustrating. Oh yeah. It's wild. A lot of people don't understand, and so you're just like, let me break it down. Yeah. Oh yeah. This. It's fun though, and it's really good quality if you can get it working. But oh my gosh, it's a lot. Yeah, it's definitely difficult, because then on the other hand, you can use your phone and like it works, but then if it doesn't, like if you don't have the right connectivity, if your reception drops out in that specific area, like it's hard to go into places too, because a lot of times the reception's worse there. And it's definitely got its own host of struggles. Yeah, exactly. And then so that's just the backpack itself and possibilities with that. So tying that into IRL of, as we talked about earlier, where it's like you have to monitor what's going on around you, and how people are treating you, and then also chat and all of that. It is like the master multitasking.
Oh, for sure.
Job. Yeah, but it's like I said, it's really fun if you can get everything working and chat's into it and you're having a good time and there's no tech issues.
Oh yeah, it's like,
beautiful.
yeah, the best combination. I feel like it's nice what you were doing on Chat Venture though. Like I feel like it's nice to have someone there with you too, because I feel like then it at least it eases up on some of the responsibility. Like you've got another set of eyes, you know, like you don't have to have all of it on yourself. Like if you need to go to the bathroom, you can.
You have an extra set of mouth, which is so important, because there's been times where the backpack does do something funny and I'm trying to do like tech fixes, and so then the guest, I'll be like, hey, you want to just like talk to chat real quick, and I'm just sitting there in the back behind the camera like you know, trying to fix things. It's wild.
Actually, I was wondering, first off, I like your sign behind you. I noticed the AyyTrae that you got going on there. But it reminded me, how did you come up with your username?
So I came up with AyyTrae. Oh my god, I feel like this is gonna open up a can of worms. But I'm from the Bay Area. I grew up in the Bay Area, you know, as a kid. So I have a lot of my associations with childhood, with nostalgia, and just a lot of my general like upbringing and mindset are a bit of a result from 90s Bay Area, like kind of over in the Oakland area, but a little bit more rural. So I was able to still, you know, walk along some railroad tracks and catch like toads and stuff. So I have a weird combination of these things, but the culture at the time in the Bay Area was very much like hella was a big thing. Hella actually came out of the Bay Area. If chat's ready for that conversation, because a lot of people are not. Look it up, Google it, people. It did. But also up there, they say like a lot. I don't know if they do it as much anymore because the culture's changed because of tech, but they used to say hella and then it would be like a. And I know that's super popular and it's in a lot of music now, but it's a little different up there when you're saying it versus when I'm saying it in LA, because when I say it here, it's just like the word goes out and it kind of hangs in the air and everyone's like, yeah, and conversation word. Up there, it had a bit of a different vibe to it. You would say a, and then other people would be like, a, and then everyone would like come in and you'd start saying a, and it would like build hype. So that, I was like, okay, so my middle name is Trae. What would fit well with that? And I was like, what about A? Because I always loved doing it. I was the person in the group that would always say A, and then everyone would, you know, pop in the Bay. And also conveniently, my first initial of my first name, Angelica, starts with an A. So I was like, let's just do AyyTrae. That's fun.
That's so fun. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And it rhymes. Yeah.
I was gonna say it's a really nice username. Like I feel like it's really like clean and memorable too. And then to find out that it also has like the additional like meaning behind it, I feel like is really. Yeah. I also feel like it fits the vibe of you and your stream too, because I feel like you're that kind of personality that's kind of like, hey, and like brings people together, you know?
Yeah. Oh God, I love that feeling of when everyone's just hey in the group, and it just I miss it so much. Maybe I'll head back up to the Bay. I'm full vax now, but things need to start opening up again, you know, and. Maybe one of these days I'll get a good, proper, hearty group A.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
The post-pandemic thing to heal.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's what I need for my own healing.
Which vaccine did you end up getting?
I got Pfizer.
Okay, me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have a hard time with the second one?
No.
I didn't either. It was like a little bit the first day. Like it was a little bit kind of like but nothing from what I've heard of like a lot of other people, you know, going full like sick.
Well, here's the thing too is I would be interested in seeing percentages of people, like asking all of the people, right? Because the people that have negative experiences are going to be so loud about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it from a psychological perspective. If we're having a good day, and by a good day I mean, you know, maybe like minor good things happening, like you got good sleep, you woke up, you had some good coffee, you drove, there wasn't a lot of traffic, like those are minor good things. You're gonna remember that probably less well,
Yeah.
or you're not gonna report it as much as a day full of minor bad things.
Yeah.
Like I think our brains latch on to the bad, and we get very vocal when it's
for sure
bad. And so I think, and I don't know, this is just me theorizing here, but I think a lot of the people that had bad experiences are the ones that take to social media. And so I was really nervous going into my second
for sure
dose. Yeah. And I was like, oh no. And I legitimately had a little like health setup. Like I had it on my kitchen, and then I had one up by my bed, because I was fully prepared to be like a skeleton in my bed for 3 days with how some people were talking, to the point where I had 0 side effects. I think I slept kind of bad that night, but it was because I had acid reflux. Like, I don't think it caused acid reflux. Yeah. So I just took some Tums, you know, and then it was fixed. I didn't even have a headache. And a lot of the people I've talked to since then are also saying, yeah, I didn't really have any side effects. So I think it's a matter of, there was just this nerve-wracking time period where a lot of people were very vocal when they had bad experiences with it. And so it seemed like that was what's going to happen. Like that was the majority of people. And I realized that I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's
not have any side effects.
That's an interesting point, because when I got my second shot, the person who was giving me my vaccine was talking about how apparently a lot of people just didn't come in for their second shot because they were afraid of the side effects. And I feel like that's why it's also probably really extra important to be like, hey, it's not always the case. And also, like, it's like a couple of days, you know. I heard the side effects from COVID can be way worse. So
exactly. I was a little worried that I would look like a complete, you know, butthole. But hold on. I was worried I would look like, you know, a jerk, because I wanted to make sure that I could maybe balance out some of the people reporting their negative side effects, because I realized that it's probably disproportionate. So I decided that I was going to be more vocal about not having any side effects.
Yeah.
And I realized that could potentially make me look like I'm bragging or something, but I wanted to be part of the people that are vocal about, you know, maybe it not being such a dire situation if you do go get your second vaccine dose, because everyone that does get that, as far as we know, will help us get a little bit closer to some semblance of herd immunity. And so, you know, just breaking that down, I was like, well, if I can help assuage some people's fears, I might as well. So for like a few days I was like, okay, 12-hour mark, I'm fine. 24-hour mark, I'm fine. And I was just like tweeting all of this out, and I was putting it on my Instagram, and I was like, yep, no side effects, this might be you. Yeah,
I heard that it's also potentially worse for people who have had COVID, just because their body recognizes it from before and it kind of freaks out.
I also heard that it could potentially be worse for people people that are younger too. And I don't want to necessarily report this kind of stuff, because I don't want to push people away from getting the vaccine. But just scientifically speaking, it's because people that are younger have more reactive immune systems. Than someone that's older, and their immune system's getting kind of tired, you know? So I was sitting there also wondering, do I have like a really tired immune system?
Does this mean that I'm old? Like,
I was like, what does it mean? But you know, as long as my body is better prepared for combating it in the future, that's fine. You know, I didn't have any side effects, so I guess I got the best of both worlds. But of course my brain lops onto the idea that I might have a weak immune system. I was like, damn.
I guess continuing with streaming and streaming things, what is your favorite thing to stream if you could pick anything?
Favorite thing to stream? Like you're talking about like games or music or
Yeah, if you had to pick
chatting.
If you had to pick one thing that would be your, I mean, I guess it's hard because everything has its, you know, its pluses and minuses. So do you have, is there one thing that stands out, you know, among all the others?
I'd say, I guess here's the thing is I'm a little bit of a people pleaser. Don't tell chat. I'm a little bit of a people pleaser. So a lot of my favorite moments on stream are when chat is clearly having a really good time. It just like makes my brain so happy. It's so much dopamine. So whether that be through music and everyone's just like popping off and cat jamming and enjoying their time, or if that's like, you know, them throwing out puns at me while I'm trying to play a game, or them trying to scare me while I'm playing a game with some scare alerts, or everyone just like, I don't know, coming together. That's obviously not really tied to any one activity, but those are my favorite stream moments, is when I know that chat is vibing, when I'm vibing, and it's always a good time when we're all just kind of like this community. It's such a good community feel. But I would say I really like, I do really enjoy playing a good new game. You know that feeling when you start a new show and you're like, I don't know about this, and then all of a sudden you're like hooked by the end of that first episode or something. When I start a new game and there's a whole bunch of other games in the franchise, so I know I have more to look forward to, and I go, wow, this is a lot of fun. That's something that I also definitely, it makes me look forward to more streams. And of course the people pleaser part comes in, where I'm then excited because, especially if chat is excited with the game too, and they're like yes about the game, then I'm like yes, and then we're all like yes, and it's just a good time.
Yeah, I feel like some of the best moments, like when playing games at least, is, you know, there's a moment where like you're not sure if you can do it, and by some, you know, somehow you end up doing it, and it's a moment for you, but it's also a moment for chat, where everybody in chat is like, I cannot believe that just happened, like I can't believe they, you know, pulled that off, kind of thing. And like I feel like those moments where everybody kind of comes together in something is just such a, I don't know, it's like nice to feel really connected with your community in that way.
Oh yeah, so it's like bonding through hardship.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, we did it. We freaking did it. Like I'm about to give some sort of Braveheart speech beforehand, and we got through it. Now we're all bonded. It's good.
Actually, speaking of your favorite memories tend to be a lot more like that. Do you have any specific favorite memories that stand out of moments like that with chat for you?
Specific memories of moments with chat. I don't know. I mean, I like it when there's a lot of sometimes when there's a lot of banter going on. I understand that's not always like the easy thing, that you can't like make that happen every stream, but it always feels really good when there's a lot of banter and it's just like you've hit this perfect sweet spot. And I guess that's like one of those moments where maybe people in chat decided that they're gonna start swapping puns, or they're gonna you know, like I don't know, maybe I messed something up in the game and then they just tease me for it, obviously not like too harshly, but it's just like fun teasing. Those moments are always really cool. I think at the end of the day, chat doesn't realize like how much influence they have and how much they can make a stream. You know, I've heard so many people in a community say, like individuals say how much maybe the stream mattered to them, but I don't know if they realize how much they can bring up a streamer, and just by showing up or being present, or you know, being themselves. And it's truly the power of chat and the power of like the individuals that do come in.
Yeah, that part honestly kind of surprises it. Not that it surprises me, but it'll catch me off guard sometimes. Like I'll find myself sometimes just like sitting around and like remembering something from stream that day or the day before, and I'll just smile and just feel better, like just because of them and just because of what they do and what they bring to, honestly, like what they bring to the stream, because I feel like they're such a big part of it.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's this one's a bit of a walking a thin line, but have you ever had like a bad day and then you go live and chat's just really cool and everything's just kind of gelling in the stream and you feel better by the end of it? And the reason I say that's a thin line is because sometimes you're just in a bad mood and there's nothing that can get you away from that, and so you don't necessarily want to bring that to the stream sometimes, but there's those days where it does work out and you're like, I feel lighter, I feel better, I feel like I just hung out with a ton of friends, and I feel so much more connected now. And I think that's always a really great moment too, just like going off of what you said, remembering those moments.
Oh yeah, I had a day like that literally, I think it was last week. I remember starting stream being like, all right, like I'm tired, I don't know. And then like, just,
like, I'm not sure.
Yeah. And
we'll see how this goes.
It's
like,
one of those,
after 3 hours.
Yep. I was like, okay, guys, it's gonna be a short stream, and then I just kept going because it was such a good time. And yeah, those are honestly.
That's the keyword. Don't tell chat.
Yeah.
They can't know, but the keyword is short stream.
Oh yeah.
Chill stream, cozy maybe is like the keyword.
Yes.
So like a streamer being like, I don't feel good today.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
Might call it off suddenly after 3 hours.
I'm giving myself an out in case I need it. Like
exactly. Oh, it's short. It's a short stream. Love you guys.
Yeah. My mod always gives me crap for that, because I remember once I was like, okay guys, short stream, I'm not going to be on that long, and then I ran like,
it's 12
6
hours.
to 8 hours, and just eventually they had to be like, you need to go to bed, and I'm like, you're probably right. Like, I guess so.
You're like sitting there at the end of stream.
Yeah. Like... My mods are like, I'm tired, like I need sleep.
Aw, your mods are, I'm so glad that your mods also let you know too, like how you're feeling, because sometimes I feel like my mods are so damn nice, they won't tell me. And then I'm like, are you guys tired yet? Like, I'm so sorry, I should have checked in.
I was gonna say, I think at least one of them, when I did a 24-hour stream, was there the full 24 hours, and I was like, go to bed, like you don't
sleep. Yeah, how did you do that?
Yeah,
I don't know, I feel like mods are just magical beings.
They really are. There's something about the sword that just instills them with power and wisdom.
Yeah, and they don't need sleep for some reason.
Yeah.
They're like, I have the power of the sword on my side.
Yeah.
I only need like 20 minutes of sleep a day and I can just keep running.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm one of those types of people that if I don't have enough sleep, it's very hard for me to function.
Yeah, okay, what's your like what's your ideal sleep time?
I think for me, if I could get 7 hours, like that would be nice, just because like I feel like that's enough for me to be like, I don't know, I want to say 7 or 8. If I can sleep longer, I will sleep longer, but then I feel bad because I'll wake up late and then I've wasted the day, and then that's a whole set of like
oh, that's just my life. That I feel that I'll like wake up because I'm a night owl. I've always been a night owl, but something happened last year where, especially with like not doing IRL streams anymore, so I don't have to depend on sunlight, I just started going to bed later and later, and now my sleep schedule is so funky right now. Like, of course, if I have a job, I can wake up in time, but if I just leave it to my body, I'll stay up until 4 a.m. and then wake up at like noon. Yeah. And then I'm sleepy until 1 or 2, and I'm like, what did I just do? Yeah. Thank goodness it's summertime, so the sun is setting later. But once winter hits, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, I need to change things. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same sleep schedule right now, and I started taking some like classes again, because like being out of college, I was like, I can do whatever. I don't have anything to do besides. What classes? I started doing. I graduated with an acting degree, so I started taking some additional classes just to not be out of practice in the meantime. So those are like 10:30 a.m. So usually around 10 o'clock, I'm like running around grabbing all my stuff. Yeah, you're like, okay, I just woke up and now I have to be alert. Like, God forbid it's improv.
Oh my gosh, no, yeah. That I would reserve that for an afternoon class.
Yeah, I feel like I think I'd be best at improv at like 2 a.m. Like,
honestly, like I feel like that's the mindset, you know, of just that time.
It's when it's when that like creativity starts flowing and your brain decides that it's gonna disconnect a little bit with reality. And so now you're like, I can now perfect improv.
Oh yeah, but you're like, I'll take the first thing.
No.
Oh no.
Not 10:30 a.m. I'd be like, my brain is probably just doing the equivalent of like
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they'll always start with like a meditation warm up and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna fall asleep. Like, I'm not going back to sleep. I won't do it.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no. Have you fallen asleep?
Not so far. There's still time.
Oh, there's still time. Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Fortunately, I'm on like a little bit of a break between classes, so I kind of got back into a weird sleep schedule, but I'll have to readjust soon.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I feel you. Yeah, no, I feel you on fixing the sleep schedule thing. I think I just told myself today, we need to start going to bed at 2 a.m. Like 2 until 10. You can do it. Trae, you've got this. But I don't know when I'm going to actually implement it. But it's the thought that counts for now.
Yeah. I feel like I've been telling myself I'm going to fix my sleep schedule since like the beginning of the pandemic. And I just keep thinking about it. I'm like, I should probably do it. And then it like 3 or 4 rolls around and I'm like, all right, tomorrow.
That's when, okay, so at the beginning of 2020, I think that's when mine flew off the rails because I was pretty stressed out. I think a lot of us were stressed out last year. And my stress decided to manifest in the form of going to bed at, like, I would sit on Reddit and like research stuff until 7 a.m. Like, that was normal for me. And so slowly but surely, I think I've been working my way back, but I'm getting stuck at this 3 to 4 a.m. rut where I keep staying up. So I'll eventually reel it back, but for now, it's better than 7 a.m.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Progress.
Yeah, I think I had a similar time when Animal Crossing came out. There was a night that I remember staying up till 7 a.m. playing Animal Crossing and watching the entirety of Tiger King.
I still haven't seen Tiger King.
It honestly really just bummed me out, like more than anything. Like, yeah, there's
Were
like
they
the
mean to
drama.
the tigers?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't watch that.
Yeah, it bummed me out more than anything because I was like, they all lost track of what they were, because a lot of them sound like they started from a place of like loving the tigers and then it just kind of it got off track and
oh no. Yeah.
But I said
I'll just stay away from that for now, but I do remember it was a lot of Tiger King and Animal Crossing, and that was what we were all clinging on to at the time.
Just the little bits of
little bits of what?
I was gonna say the little bits of that to keep me, sane.
Yeah, well, to keep you distracted, but also to have like some sort of like shared memes and shared conversation from the very, very intense stuff that's happening around us all.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's super, it's super important. That's the beauty of the internet. It really came in handy.
Oh my gosh.
Year.
I don't know what I would have done if I wasn't streaming. Like, I feel like it, as much as other people say that having streamers help them, like being able to stream and be with a community helped me so much.
Oh yeah, because it was incredibly isolating last year, and so if you don't have, if you're not like living with roommates, if you're not living with family, and that can come with its own set of problems.
Yeah.
But like for me, I had roommates at the start, but then the landlord sold the house, so I had to find my own apartment. And I realized just how isolating it can be when you aren't able to just go out and like go out with friends. And so I think streaming also helped save me a bit.
Yeah, I was in a house towards the end of it because I was about to move because I graduated during the time. So I went from there to an apartment, but both my roommates went home. So from the very beginning of the pandemic, it was just me in the house and my cat. I had my cat, thank God. But
nice.
I like lived for like the little like going to get groceries once a week, or like if I went to get a coffee, I swear I talked their ear off every time because I was like, oh my god, a human.
Yeah, no, it's like exciting now because that's the most action you're gonna get like all week. So you're just like, oh my god, people. People, but also 6 feet away.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
Stay back.
Which can be hard in LA sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, so I definitely feel you on that one. I don't have a pet, so I feel a bit like I've been doing this on expert mode.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a pet, I don't have like a partner or anything, so I'm just like, yep, me and my plants. And so I have a few plants that kept dying, and so there was this really sad point where I was like, I can't even keep the plants alive.
Oh no.
But no, it's fine because there's a good side to this story. I actually have 2 that are now staying alive. So
nice.
I know I feel a bit like a bad plant parent in the sense that I had to go through so many plants and like killing them, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of it, although I do feel a little bit of residual guilt. But I think I figured it out, and so that's sort of my thing. But I'm glad you had your cat at least with you, and you had your Animal Crossing and all of that.
Oh yeah, I think the adjustment period was definitely a lot, but again, like I really don't know where I'd be or what I would have done had streaming not been a part of things.
Oh yeah, totally. Are you still going to your Animal Crossing island?
I haven't in a while because I stopped, and then I saw just the amount of work that people had put into their islands and the intricate like decorations, and I had a moment where I was like, I'm never gonna get there. And so I started doing more Stardew Valley instead of Animal Crossing because there's something therapeutic about farming. I don't know.
Okay, I have Stardew, but I still haven't really started it. But I feel like I should have. I saw a lot of people that were really enjoying the game. One of these days, I'll start up Stardew. But
that's one of those I either don't play or will play for hours.
Yeah. Okay. I feel that. So with Animal Crossing, I was playing it, but I mostly played it socially, and so now I still stop by my island, but it's because I'm trying to build a cat island. So yeah, so I'll go to my island, but only to see if I can find some of my non-cat villagers that I'd invited in, last year, to see if they have that little thought bubble of like wanting to move out, and then I'll run up to them and be like, okay, goodbye, safe travels. And then I'll over the next couple of days like start hunting for cats, and that's like my excitement with Animal Crossing. I'm not that big on like changing the island. I'm not that big on trying to like make bells and stuff, but I am very invested in just getting all of the cats on my island.
I like that. That's a fun goal. I feel like that's also, I don't know, to me, I feel like that's a little bit like more of a fun, it's like, you're like going on a hunt versus like sitting and doing each block of like terraforming this or doing that. And
yeah, and like obviously to each their own, but that's, we all play games a little differently, and I think I'm just a little too used to like not like hunting in games, but definitely very goal oriented in the sense of something that I can I guess like the building isn't not active, but it just, for me, I guess it's just more of like, I don't know. That's just what piques my interest, I guess.
Yeah.
Because decorating was never really quite my thing. That being said, I do love like character customizing. In Witcher, I'm excited to go change his hair, but I don't know. I feel like the thing with Animal Crossing and with the decorating in there is it just felt a bit like an endless pursuit.
Yeah.
And that stressed me out. So like getting cat villagers, there is an end in sight.
Yeah.
But for me, with like changing the island around, I knew that like if I moved a bridge somewhere, I would probably get annoyed and want to move the bridge elsewhere, in like 2 weeks. And so like, no, like there's something in my brain that just goes, nah, that seems you're gonna keep being in this like purgatory of needing to fix this island and changing the thing that you just changed.
Oh yeah, it's one of those. I'm the same kind of way, like decorating my like apartment or whatever. I'll like do everything and then I'll like sit there for like a day or two and then be like, I have to change it. Like I need to change everything again already.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I absolutely get that.
Yeah, my brain like foresaw that happening, and it was like, stay away from that. That pursuit is gonna just be nonstop. I guess. I knew.
Yeah, you were ahead of the game.
Well, I mean, like I said, it comes down to how people enjoy stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I knew that I wasn't going to necessarily enjoy that aspect of like the endless pursuit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it just reminds me of how much like things will change and how much, I don't know, it just reminds me of being like, okay, now I don't like it like 3 days after you loved it, and sometimes that just stresses me out.
Yeah.
So like I'm not doing that.
I feel like, you know, when you're like designing the room and you have options for furniture, I'm like, but I need to get this thing, but I don't have access to this thing because I haven't seen it in the store, so now I have to wait for it in the store, but the room won't be complete until I have, like, it's just, I feel like, yeah, there are all those little elements that I think go into it that make it kind of like, I don't know, I agree, it can be kind of stressful sometimes. Like when it comes together, it's nice, but everything leading up until that, and then sometimes even after that, you're like, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're like, this doesn't work after all, and you did all that. But with the cats, I just get to go on. If someone wants to move out, I tell them to move out. Goodbye, you know, and then they pack up, they leave, and then that's when my action starts. That's when I'm like, okay, get my tickets, go to the islands, see if I can find a cat. Like, it's very much like this pursuit, single-minded goal thing. And it's a little bit simpler for me. And that's how I play Animal Crossing, is like the most just like intense, I'm hunting cats to live on my island way. But that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. You play a game however you like.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of games, and I guess then moving more or kind of back into streaming, do you have a favorite game that you've played on stream within the past year or so?
So I just finished a Resident Evil Village last night, and so here's the hard part: is I also tend to play games in like 3 days, you know. So I think we've played probably at least like 20 games so far this year.
Yeah.
I know. I go through a lot. I was previously streaming like 6 days a week. Now I'm cutting it down to 5. But I'm currently so today we're getting back on this, just like we were playing it last week before Village came out, and I wanted to jump on that before people tried to spoil it too much. But I was playing through Last of Us Part 2, and I'm playing it for the second time, so I guess that means I really enjoyed it. I also played through Final Fantasy VII Remake twice as well, and both of those came out within the last year. So I guess those were some of my recent favorites, but then again, I also played through the whole Resident Evil, almost the whole franchise. You know, I played 1, 2, twice, 3, 4, 5, 7, and then now I played the 8th one, which is Village. But I'm trying to think of my favorite. Here's the thing too, is for the most part, I am, and you can ask anyone from my community this, but I usually get pretty engrossed in fan bases and in like the world of things, and for the most part, I feel like sometimes I can be casual about things, but there's many things that I'm extremely passionate about, and I'll just be like, I'm watching this show and now all I want to do is talk about this show. I'll save you, chat, but like everything, you know, like Star Trek, like I love Star Trek. There's just so many amazing universes that have been created out there, and I get so engrossed in them. But the thing is, I feel like this Friday I'm gonna be playing Mass Effect for the first time, and I'm probably gonna get really into that next. So I have some predictions for what my next thing is, but like I said, you know, just recently got very into the world of Resident Evil, what's going on there. Of course, you know, going away from games, love Star Trek to death. I'm wearing my Quark's Bar shirt, which is from Deep Space Nine. But yeah, so I hope I answered that question.
Yeah. I was actually
Did
gonna
I?
ask. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that it's also hard to. I ask questions sometimes knowing that it's asking someone what their favorite game is. I feel like is kind of an impossible task sometimes when there are so many
Yeah.
good ones out there.
Yeah, and I've just been like ingesting so many
Yeah.
different
Oh
worlds
yeah.
in these games that I'm like, I can't pick. Here's
Well, and I feel
five
like they're
options.
all great in their own way, and you can't necessarily compare two of them because you get a different experience with each one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even just depending on the game, the world they created, the controls, and coming down to hardware, like it changes your experience if you're playing on a PC versus on a console. It changes your experience based on what you're dealing with as the gamer, as the person that's playing the game at that time. And so you're going to understand and experience a game differently each time you play it, and depending on what you're going through and depending on so many different things. And there's a lot of factors that go into it, that there are these amazing worlds, these amazing stories through video games, but each one's gonna have its own little signature, depending on all of these factors.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you have to save gameplay for stream? Because I know you mentioned you were replaying some of them. So do you exclusively play these games on stream, or are there games that you play off stream?
It depends. I tend to, if I'm playing a game off stream, I usually play games that are a bit shorter. But for the most part, like you've mentioned just at the start of all of this, I am a bit of a jack of all trades. So it's a little tough, because with that comes, basically what that means for me is I've got a lot of hobbies. And I'm constantly like building new skills and doing different things. So a lot of times the gameplay, yes, does get designated for stream time, versus if I'm working on a new hobby, or if I'm working on a skill that's maybe gone a bit stale, that's going to be for off stream. So when I'm drawing, when I'm painting, when I'm working out, when I'm trying to learn how to twirl this freaking bow staff or play this banjo, I'm like, okay, that's not good enough for stream right now, or maybe I just want this for me. Like building some of these Lego sets that I'm doing. These are the things that, because of me trying to do time management from streaming 7 hours, now 5 days a week, previously 6 days a week, when I'm not streaming, I'm trying to achieve some sort of balance by like working on these other things. So a lot of times games do get pushed to stream time because of that.
Yeah.
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 How about you?
I mean, yeah, I feel like I feel guilty if I play a game for the first time not on stream, kind of thing, because I feel like it's an experience, I guess. And I don't personally play scary games on my own time anyway, because I play them because chat likes them, not because I enjoy them, because I don't do well with the jump scares. But I also feel like it's kind of fun to share it too, just because I did games when I was younger, like a little bit, because my brother had a PS2 and an Xbox, so I played when he let me play. And then I played a little bit of Wii growing up, but I never really had a console, so I didn't have a PC, so I didn't do too much. So I've actually gotten into gaming again through streaming. So it's kind of one of those I feel like have been kind of connected for me.
Yeah, okay, so they're hand in hand.
Yeah.
So gaming, I think this is important to note too, because I imagine some people could be like, oh, you're not a real gamer if you don't game constantly in your off hours. But here's the thing is, I guess this is like the recurring motif that we've been talking about, is that like every person experiences games differently, and they enjoy games in different ways. And so maybe I like cat hunting on Animal Crossing, or maybe I liked Animal Crossing last year because it was a social outlet for me. I'd invite people to my island. I'd go to other people's islands. I would have parties on my island. Like I would throw themed parties on my island and make people come over and like hang out with me. Like we did a whole pride party. So things like that. And it comes down to it is like for you, that could potentially be, obviously it's something that you said was tied to stream, but it could be something that's social for you too, because hanging out with chat, having it be that social experience is part of the gaming experience for you.
Yeah.
You know, it gets to be shared.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, like, a lot of the ones that I like to do are like story-based games. Like I really enjoy just like, I don't know, being taken into the world of a story, and I feel like I would enjoy it by myself, but there's something about having, you know, chat in the community there alongside while playing through it, just to get, you know, everyone's perspectives and getting to like share those moments with everyone.
Yeah, it's nice. And you get to like, I don't know, it's I think it's about getting to escape to other worlds and have these conversations maybe through these characters and their stories. It's really cool. It's like the equivalent of getting to have an interactive watch party. There's like, or you know, like a watch party or a shared favorite book, a shared favorite movie, show, franchise of any sort. It's that shared narrative, but you get to be active in it. Chat gets to be involved. Who knows, maybe they have some sway in it if you have like, I don't know, alerts. Like I have a sneaky snake alert, and in Last of Us Part 2, I go prone, which is like directly on your belly every time someone plays that alert. And so chat can also have an influence, and it's really cool because you get to do all that. You get to escape, you get to play these characters, and you also get to share that with some really cool people.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part about it. So I totally get you on playing games on stream. It's interesting though, you're not big on the scary games. So what's your favorite narrative game so far?
Oh, that's hard. I mean, I really enjoyed Life is Strange, like the first, you know, original one. I just had a really fun time with that one, just because I wasn't expecting it. I think that was one of the first games I got into that I don't know. I guess I was surprised by it because I hadn't gamed in a while, and that was kind of one of the first ones I sat down to play all the way through.
Okay.
So
How many hours is it, would you think?
That's a good question.
Like maybe 10?
Maybe that, maybe a little bit less. I'd have to look it up, but I really enjoyed it just because it surprised me, you know, like I wasn't super well versed in gaming, you know. I wouldn't say that I am now, but I had a really good time with it. The one that surprised me that I didn't enjoy, but I enjoyed, was Until Dawn, because that one's a little spooky, you know.
Yeah, that one's really spooky.
But the story I enjoyed. I enjoyed kind of the getting to know what was going on, like figuring all the parts out, and you know, plot twists and whatnot. So I enjoyed it, but not.
Was really good. No, that was so before 2020. I like completely resisted the idea of horror games, and now I love them so much. But I don't know, maybe it's exposure effect, or maybe it's some sort of like, I don't know, like
it could be because I played
like you expose yourself so much that you're just like, I guess this is it now, this is my thing, I love it. Because you're just like, what's it called when you, oh my god,
like I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it.
You've now adjusted yourself to like the pain or like the fear of something. Like it's like me with hot sauce. Like I know the hot sauce hurts, but I keep exposing myself to it, and now when I like eat just plain lentil soup, I'm like, I need to put hot sauce in this. It's too bland, you know. Like it's like that. Like I've exposed myself to so many horror games that now I'm so used to feeling these like peaks in emotion that I'm like, I need more.
Yeah.
give me more. I'm addicted now.
I feel like that makes sense.
A really good one.
Yeah, because I started with Outlast, and that one I started playing in like October of 2019, and I didn't finish until.
So it's October, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For Halloween.
And I think I didn't finish it. I took like almost 10 months to finish that because I stopped playing it.
Oh, okay.
Because I kept getting so freaked out. But then I finally finished it, and then I played the DLC faster, I guess. It was like in 2 days I was able to finish that. So I think there is an adjustment there, because then after that, because I enjoyed the DLC a little bit more because I enjoyed the story despite the scariness. So I feel like like the exposure therapy of it, like I feel like when you adjust to it.
Yeah, you're now like you've experienced these highs of like emotion, and now when you play other stuff, you're like, my emotions are they're too static.
Yeah.
I'm used to having these like incredible just peaks and dips of fear and feeling like I survived.
Yeah, and the feeling of accomplishment at the end.
Yeah, exactly, because it's just so incredibly scary or challenging, and you really push yourself. And I feel like with horror games, it's sometimes not worth that stress, especially in that moment, but then sometimes you get a little addicted to that feeling. So I'm playing Last of Us Part 2 again, and here we are. But I remember playing Until Dawn, and that was one of the games that I would play before I got more into horror games last year. I remember really enjoying Until Dawn because, one, it's really scary. Two, they have that really cool twist. Three, it's pretty short form, so you know there's an end in sight.
Yeah.
And four, it follows along with some really cool horror tropes, and I love tropes. I love being able to spot patterns and things. So they have the kids, or like the teenagers, go out to a cabin in the woods, and you're like, yes. And then they're all playing these different parts. You've got the brave person, you've got maybe the jerk, you've got the nice girl,
Oh yeah,
you got the sporty girl, like all
it was
that.
Really crazy too, seeing all the like familiar actor faces too, because it's all of them, like it is them, and that was kind of fun too, getting to see that, and I don't know, see them as these characters.
Yeah, I think her name's Sam, right? But I just kept calling her Hayden Panettiere or whatever the whole time. I was like, I think her name's Sam, but Hayden, got by the clown, and like I would just call her by her name.
Yeah.
In that game,
So that one was a pretty solid game. I think even despite the horror aspect, I think that the story was good, and just like the gameplay was pretty fun. I was really bad at it, but I got better as I went on.
Well, here's the thing. With Until Dawn, it was a lot of QTEs too, so it's a bit of a different playing style. And like, I don't know. If you don't know what QTEs are, chat, it's quick time events. So you have to press buttons really quickly. And that could be a bit different as opposed to, I don't know, like a JRPG turn-based combat system, or like, a more Western style combat system where you're, in a lot of these games, you're like legit just swinging a sword and doing shoulder rolls to get out of it, which are, so like a lot of that, it's gonna change things up. So don't think you're bad at it. It's just a matter of having to be really fast and memorizing, like, okay, triangle,
and
circle.
I had very minimal experience on a PlayStation controller too when I jumped into that game. So I lost a character early on just because I hadn't adjusted to any of the controls yet, but I got better as I went on.
Was it Ashley? Because I feel like it was hard to keep Ashley alive.
Jessica, I think.
No, Jessica might be. Yeah, Ashley's the one later on. Yeah. Okay.
Jessica's like the first one that you have to like really try to save, and I was just not. Yeah, the one who's like, we're gonna have hot sex, and I was like,
in this cabin right now.
I'm gonna scream on the porch, like,
yeah, I'm cool.
It was one of those that I was just like, go inside, you're gonna get attacked, and then she stands right by the window, and.
I think that's the thing though, is like that's the beauty of that game, because that's like adhering to some of the old school like horror 70s horror like slasher films. And I'm not saying there's not a lot more to unpack here, but it's like they always have it where it's like the super sexualized sexy girl will get killed in this like very weird way, and like so it's adhering to the tropes of it, and it's kind of like highlighting them and calling them out too. So I feel like, to be honest, Jessica was really hard to save.
So I feel like that was probably
the game was like setting it up again, like setting you up to fail for that.
It's okay. That one I was like, okay, this is my learning moment, and now I will be better moving forward.
Yeah, I feel it. Who's your favorite character in Until Dawn?
That's hard. I mean, Sam is so great, but I also really liked, I don't know, I was rooting for, I think his character name was Matt. He was with Emily,
Matt.
and she's terrible. But like Matt, she was
I-
Emily's new guy. But I just felt really, I wanted to win for him because I felt bad for him because he's with Emily,
Aw.
and she was a rough character.
So here's where our brains diverge a bit. I liked Emily because she was spicy. Like, she was a wild card for me. I didn't know what to expect from her, and so I liked her character. And a lot of people disagree with me, so I know that I know I'm probably in the minority here, but I liked Emily. She was clever, and she just didn't care about niceties.
Yeah.
Matt, I was bored by.
Really?
I
I mean,
like,
that
I
makes
don't care about
sense.
Matt.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, he's boring.
I just felt bad for him. I felt, because actually everybody kept telling me to kill Emily because they're like, we don't like her, like kill her. And I was like, I will not kill anyone on purpose because I'm worried that I won't be able to keep anybody alive on purpose. So
Yeah.
but my thing was like, I felt bad for Matt. I was like, all right, we got to keep him alive. Like I gotta try.
Yeah, you felt bad, so you're like, all right,
Yeah.
let's do this. Like, let's
It
try
was-
our
it was a
best here.
pity,
This is what
yeah.
pity survival. Like, let's do this for him. He's had a rough time.
Actually, my favorite character was the wolf.
The wolf?
Yeah, there's a wolf that you can befriend. I couldn't keep the wolf alive, but you can befriend the wolf and it'll help you out when you're I can't remember the jock guy's name, but he goes through the Mike, yeah, when you go through the sanatorium, yeah, when you go through that
sanatorium, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that wolf now. I mostly just remember it with the sanatorium, so I think I just like blanked out on that. 'Cause
Yeah.
that part is like the peak of the game to me.
Yeah, I am surprised that I got Mike out alive, but the wolf didn't live, and I had to stop playing for a sec because I was crying because I felt
You're
so
sad.
bad. The wolf,
Did you
he
keep
gave
Emily
its
alive
life.
at least?
Yeah, I did. I actually managed to keep everyone alive except for, so Jessica died early on, and then Chris, because I made a decision that no matter what I did after that point, he was gonna die, which is unfortunate because I would have kept him alive, but I made the wrong decision at the moment, and
Yeah. Oh, it's fine. I feel like it was the hardest, not the hardest, but it was difficult to keep Emily alive.
Yeah.
They set her up to be unsavory, right? Because no
Yeah.
one likes the mean person.
Yeah.
And so they give you certain outs. Like, I think there's a point in the game where like the characters can shoot her.
Yeah.
Because they thought she got bit, and then there's that like meat grinder situation where she's like, or like whatever it was, where she's like going up the thing into
Yeah.
and that part was really hard for QTE wise. So like I'm honestly impressed, is what I'm trying to say, that you kept Emily alive.
I did it out of
Because you said
spite
that the
for
QTs
my
weren't
chat.
your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, no, kill her, let her die. And I was like, no, now I can't. Like, I can't do it because you want me to.
Yeah, it's a rebellious survival.
Yeah.
So we have the pity one where we kept Matt alive out of pity, and then we have the spite.
Yeah.
Just keep her alive out of spite.
I guess I operate on pity and spite. Like,
yeah, well, no, good for you. Good for you. Because, like, honestly, the more characters you can keep alive in that game.
the don't move
is
moments,
good.
I just kind of like held my controller as close to me as possible to keep from shifting a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I feel like there was that part at the end that was really difficult to not.
I was waiting. I
Dead.
thought someone was going to do a jump scare alert. I'm surprised that no one did, because I had a feeling. I was like, I felt like someone was going to, and somehow we got through that whole thing and no one tried that.
Everyone worked together.
Yeah, I
guess.
know. That was a moment for me too. That was one of those, because even the people in chat who were like, you're gonna get everyone killed, were like, oh my god. And I was like,
Yeah.
I did it. Take that.
Nice. Well, congrats.
Thank
Here's
you.
the thing too, is with that game, if you ever choose to play it again, I've only played it I think I played it like twice or 3 times, but you can get a trophy for keeping everyone alive, and you can get a trophy for killing everyone. And then they have trophies for keeping all of the dudes alive and killing off all the
interesting.
women. And then there's another trophy for keeping all the women alive and killing off all the guys.
Okay, interesting.
I know, it's weird, but it's like kind of funny. So it has that replayability if you do want to attempt that.
Yeah, that would be. It's also interesting to see kind of how then everything plays out without that. And then the other thing that bothered me, because I'm like a perfectionist, I didn't collect all the things and
The totems.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes they're hard to find.
Yeah,
like,
I watched the video later, because it's like you collect all of them. It plays like the video of like what happened, but
Yeah.
I just watched it on YouTube later because I was like, I want to see what happened, and I can't replay it right now.
Yeah. Some of them are hard to spot. Like there'd be like a white one in the middle of the snow, like in a corner of a bank. And I kind of gave up on that hope. Like mid gameplay, I was like, yeah, this is too much.
I was like, I'm too afraid that I'm about to get attacked right now. I just want to get from point A to point B as safely as possible.
You know what? That's a good point too, because sometimes you're getting chased.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's totems out there when you're getting chased, but hell no.
Yeah, that's not my focus. Yeah.
Yeah,
can you like hang on for 1
Fireman.
second while you're like, chasing me? I just need to check a totem.
Exactly. Okay, you know what? That's totally fine. Because like sometimes in that game too, I remember you'd be running in the snow and there'd be like sounds and like things jumping around you, and you can't just stop. No. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to live. Run. So yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, I guess moving from streaming into just a little bit more about you. I asked this question to everybody, and it's a big question, so you can answer it as broadly or specifically as you'd like to. But what's your story?
Wait. In overall or for streaming?
Just like in general. I mean, it can include streaming if you like, but again, like you can share as much or as little as you feel comfortable with.
Okay, my story is, I mentioned this, but I'm from the Bay Area, so Bay Area represent. I moved down to, I originally wanted to be Catwoman when I was a kid, didn't work out. And then I went to college, I studied and got a degree in communications. I was in a girl band while I was in college, and now I want to restart a band again, but we'll see how that works out. And then I have my degree in communications. I thought I was gonna go into like marketing or something, but I ended up moving to LA because I realized that as much as I could do around marketing and how interesting it is, because things are always changing and the atmosphere is always changing with marketing, and so you always have to be on top of that. And I thought that was cool. But I also just really loved, talking about things within the geek space and the nerd space. And I feel like a lot of that was like a big part of me, and it wasn't getting tapped into. And I figured, well, maybe, just maybe, people would want to hear me talk about these things. So I ended up like packing up, moving to LA, and going into hosting type stuff. And I ended up, because as I mentioned earlier with live streaming, I ended up like live streaming because I was working in tech at the time, and I just didn't have people to talk about certain things with. And so I figured if I went online, maybe if I expose myself to a large group of people, some like-minded people can come in, we can discuss all these fun things in the geek space, or about like music and stuff like that. And because I had already opened that door for myself, when I moved to LA and I'm pursuing hosting and being someone that talks a lot more within that geek space, I ended up streaming more because streaming was really flexible for me. I could set my own hours, and lo and behold, here I am. I've been live streaming for multiple years now, full time. Somehow, some way, I'm able to support myself doing that. I don't understand it, but here we are. Thank you to all of the kind people on the interwebs for supporting me. And I guess at the end of the day, got my, not like my wish, but I get to talk about all of these things that I love and I care about, and people get to come in and they get to share that. So it really did come true, even if it wasn't the avenue I thought it would be. I get to talk about the things I care about, and I get to play video games, which is a bit of a return to what I used to do a lot as a kid with my GameCube and my Game Boy. And so it's pretty neat, but I guess that's kind of my story that catches me up to today. What's set for me in the future is I would like to travel more, but as of now, that's not really feasible. So we'll see what happens there, but you know, stay tuned because I'm sure I'll be doing short live streams when I can figure that out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you, if you could pick any job at all in the whole world and you could, you know, get paid a decent amount, you know, like get paid enough to support yourself doing it, what would it be?
Any job in the whole world?
Yeah, anything.
Well, that's the hard part because the older I get, the more I realize I don't want to work. I don't know if you have this experience too, but like,
yeah,
the older I get, like when I was younger, I was thinking about this actually today. I feel like I'm just constantly thinking about everything all the time now. Like I thought about this earlier. But when I was younger, I remember I used to like dream of like being the marketing person. Like that used to be my dream. Or I used to dream of like being the social media like auditor. Like I wanted to go through people's social medias and be like, this is inconsistent, this button doesn't click through. Like, you know, I wanted to do like UX design. I wanted to do a lot of stuff around that. And you know, as much as I still think it's really interesting, I found myself more lately having dreams around fulfillment. And so that's kind of tough, is thinking of a dream job, because now I'm like, well, the dream is to just find fulfillment and to have new experiences. If there was a best possible job, like something that I was able to support myself with that, you know, could potentially be really fun, is I would love so my brain just split like twofold into two different places, but I would love to obviously do hosting stuff where I have a lot of, you know, a good amount of creative control, where I can talk about things that I'm really knowledgeable in, and I can talk to people about things that I'm not knowledgeable in that might be professionals, and I can learn new things from them, and we can have these shared experiences, especially around things in like the sciences and the geek space, because that's where my love is. I would also love to make music, you know, and have people give feedback of like, this song helped me through a hard time. Like that just really, I don't know, that always like makes me feel fulfilled when people say like something I did help them through something. And then I guess like another side of it, trying to think, I think so that's where my brain's cutting me off, but I'll probably think of some more. So I have a lot of options.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, I think that in terms of dream job is like best possible ones, but the dream is, you know, to just like keep learning. That's keep learning, experiencing new things. But I'd say that, yeah, dream job would just be like music, talking about geeky stuff with other geeks. Yeah, maybe like if there was a place that wanted me to have like creative control over like making skits and stuff, and they liked my personal brand of like what I do and skits and my dry humor, that would be great, you know, because that's me being me. But that would be the dream for sure.
Yeah, I could absolutely see you as like the host of a show that's like all things, you know, all things geek, all things, you know, sci-fi, and like you, that just being like your thing. Like you would bring in people to talk about different things or from different projects, and I just feel like you would absolutely excel, because I feel like your personality in itself is enough to carry something. So
yeah, I would love that. And if they're cool with all that I am, to the point where, and that's why I'm doing so much streaming, and I'm doing, you know, all of my things on my side, because ideally, you know, first and foremost, right now I am an independent contractor, I'm my own boss. But if there was a place that wanted to hire me and we could work together and provide those resources for each other, And I get to like be my authentic self where I care about these geeky, nerdy type things, and I can learn more from other people, and have these discussions, but also be able to like, you know, utilize my super like dry humor, my dry delivery, skit type stuff. Like that would be just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I also have, so I have a section in Discord where my mods are posting questions that people in chat have asked. So I'm gonna kind of go through some of those. The one that I have to start with, because my mods ask it every single podcast. When pouring a bowl of cereal, do you put the milk in or the cereal first?
Cereal.
Okay, good.
Well, here's the thing is, a lot of cereal is like buoyant.
Yeah.
So if you put in liquid first, I feel like that's asking for a mess.
Yeah. See, this is the best description though that I feel like we've gotten as to why cereal should go first. Like I haven't thought of how to explain it, but like, yeah, if I pull a bowl of like, if I do a bowl of Cheerios, right? If I do milk first. Oh, hello.
Can you try again?
No. Sorry, my watch thought I was talking to them.
Yeah, I don't even feel like you said anything.
Yeah,
that
I
would
was
trigger
like,
that.
not even remotely close. But yeah.
Alright.
But yeah, so
best explanation?
yes, absolutely. And now I know how to defend my answer.
Wait, was it my explanation?
Yeah, no, I feel like that one, I've never thought to explain, like, because I know that it makes more sense to me to put cereal first, but I've never thought to explain it by like the buoyancy of cereal.
Yeah.
And just how
'cause
it doesn't
floats.
submerge. Yeah.
So if you put the cereal in, it's like in a dry bowl, it's like gravity just pulls it down to the bottom. It's all sitting down there. Then you pour in the milk, it slowly rises. It's calm, it's chill, it's a relaxed scenario. You put in milk first, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, let me throw in these bouncy floaty things into it that are now like tiny pieces, and you're like, okay, I might get splashback, I might have the cereal like pour out of here. It's just a little too chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question one of my mods asked is, what is your forever food?
I don't know. What, my forever food?
If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, okay. I was trying to think of like through lines of food that I've eaten my entire life.
No.
I was like, I don't know.
No, from this point onward.
Okay. Forever food. And I can't just pick a whole like type.
I mean, you
like,
can pick a whole type as well.
KBBQ. Oh, okay. Because then I would say like Korean barbecue.
Yes, that's a pretty solid answer.
Okay, I didn't have to just say like bagel bites or something.
No.
Ravioli. Okay. Okay, cool.
I've had
Korean barbecue.
an intense obsession with Korean barbecue, and that was actually, as soon as I was fully vaccinated, that was the first thing that I went to go do.
And what's your go-to at Korean barbecue?
I usually do either like the galbi, like short ribs, or I'll do like the thin slice like beef brisket. Like I'm thinking like one of the like cook in front of you places where they've got the little, grill in front of you.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
Korean barbecue.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know like sometimes they have like varying presentations, I guess. But like, yeah. No, I have a piece of paper on my fridge where I printed out an image of Korean barbecue, and I wrote "Follow Your Dreams" on it, because I kept talking through the pandemic about how I just missed Korean barbecue. So
yeah,
it was a moment.
Oh, and I bet it felt really good then when you got it after.
Oh
being
yeah.
full vax.
Oh yeah. It was such a
Nice.
good, because my best friend, who we used to live together, but we don't now. So we went, so it was just a good time getting to hang out with friends and having Korean barbecue.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, if they don't have a grill in front of you and it's not like you having to cook it, I feel like I wouldn't fully trust it.
Yeah.
But that being said, those are some excellent meat options. And here's the thing I love about Korean barbecue. I'm a grazer. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't necessarily enjoy one plate of just like one meal food. I like a lot of different flavors.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, a lot of like Western style meals, I don't feel like necessarily have this. Like we do have a good variety when it comes to like things like breakfast foods, like brunch sometimes, where you have like the bacon, the pancake, you have like the sweet, the whatever. But with Korean barbecue, what's so good about it is that it's not usually like overly sweet. I think the sweetest thing they give you is this potato type thing that sometimes has this sweet like sauce on it.
Yeah.
And then you also sometimes get like a broccoli or like that might be a bit sweeter. But for the most part, then there's also like you have the rice, you have veggies, you've got the kimchi, you've got so many different flavors there, and that is super ideal for me because I like having all of those different options and those different flavor profiles, and that's what I love about Korean barbecue.
Yeah, I feel like it's nice because you can kind of mix and match too, because you're like, all right, now I want like maybe like some of the meat with a little bit of the kimchi, like, you know, a little bit of, you can kind of mix it as you want and kind of try different things.
Oh, and it's just so good, and you don't have to commit to one thing. You don't have to be like, okay, I'm going with meat, I'm going savory, I'm going, you know, totally this way. It's like you could just stop and palate cleanse with a bowl of rice if you wanted to, or you put the meat on the bowl of rice. It's just a good time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Solid answer. The next question, I'll just read it as written. How much of Holla Back Girl do you sing when spelling bananas? And do you sing at normal speed or bananas particularly slower?
Oh God, I don't really think of Holla Back Girl. I don't also write banana too often, but I tend to sound it out. So I'll be like, banana.
Okay, gotcha.
And usually it looks right. Like if there's more in there or less in there, you're like, that's just
you'll know, yeah.
Yeah, and then if there's more, you're like, that's too long. So usually it's just like banana when I'm writing it out. It's got a rhythm.
I feel like I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah, because if I try to sing Holla Back Girl, I feel like I would sing it wrong and then I would spell banana wrong. Like I'd probably be like B-A-N-A-N-A, you know, like I'd probably mess it up more that way, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, I know some people that I know, and including myself, that's how I learned to spell banana, was through the song, and so that's the only way that I probably could spell it without it, but like that's my default setting, I guess, when trying to spell it out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I would probably just end up adding more letters if I tried to do it to the song. I don't know why, but I guess it's because I didn't really listen to Holla Back Girl a lot. Like I liked No Doubt, but I didn't listen to a lot of Gwen Stefani's like solo stuff. But I love No Doubt, so I'm still like a Gwen fan.
Yeah.
But I like the like ska hype.
Yeah.
They had.
Yeah.
Together, chemistry wise.
Oh, okay. So the next question, it's from my mod. I am HeyDrill. Assuming Aya has never watched Star Trek, I have not watched Star Trek. Where would you suggest she start? And then he said in parentheses OG or TNG, etc.
So I have I don't know why, but I have so many people tell me that they haven't watched Star Trek to me, like I'm gonna be offended.
It's just,
I know you're not saying that.
haven't seen Star Wars, and the pushback I've gotten from that has been I've gotten so, like, whenever I say it, just because I watched one of them when I was younger and I was terrified of something that happened and then I just never did. And every time I've said that on stream, I've had people like go off and be like, we can't be friends anymore, like jokingly, but
oh, okay.
So,
no, Trekkies are a lot more chill. Like
okay.
we're a lot more chill. We're like, yeah, we know you haven't seen Star Trek probably. Because if someone has seen Star Trek, you will know, because they'll probably talk about it already. You don't even have to bring it up. like you'll know. So for me, it's not too big of a deal, but it's funny because I stopped by a friend's stream today and they're like, I haven't seen Star Trek. Like I was gonna be mad. And I was like, no, I don't care. It's for me. It's not for you. Like you can watch it and it can be for you. So don't stress about it. But usually when people ask me where do I start, Trae, I usually will say you should start, and there's a bit of a caveat here, but with the next generation, because I think the next generation is the most palatable for one, a person that's new to the franchise, two, for someone who wants to watch it a little bit more episodically and you can take breaks, and three, it's a little bit more progressive than some of the you know, like the original series was made in the 60s, and so there's some weird kind of references to like, oh, I'm not used to seeing a woman on the bridge, so it stands out a little bit, and it can be a little awkward when you're comparing it to like current day rights and assumptions and lack of assumptions, hopefully. So I would say TNG, but here's the caveat. TNG, or The Next Generation, is a little bit slower in the first season. And so when I say, okay, TNG, because that's the one that's most likely to get someone hooked into it, and you can take breaks from it. It's not like long-running arcs like Discovery, which is one of the newer Star Trek shows. You have to deal with the first season and kind of like warming up into it.
Yeah.
And so I always have to approach that suggestion with a little bit of caution, because I don't want to turn someone away from it, but it is really warming up in that first season. Yeah, that
makes sense. I feel like my only comparison, I like the sci-fi world that I had gotten into mostly middle school, high school, was I watched a lot of Doctor Who, and it's one of those when I try to go back and watch the earlier stuff, for me it's hard to adjust just because technology has changed so much, you know, and when you go to the original series, just it's so, you know, the special effects are like they zoom out and it's like a model something, and they, you know, drop something in on a string and that kind of stuff.
Oh, you're talking about like the like special or like the practical effects of it, and you're like, oh, this is so
we're like dated. You can tell so much more so than I'm sure you could tell at the time, probably. But then it's also one of those. I joke about this
a lot with 80s stuff, because I'm like, oh, look at the blue lightning bolts are out again for every single sci-fi ever. Like there's always blue lightning.
Yeah.
And that's how you know you're watching an 80s like science fiction. Like every sci-fi in the 80s was just like blue lightning bolts.
Yep. It's like the default editing special effect.
Yeah, they like, I don't know what happened. Like I don't know what year they figured that one out, but they just relentlessly went with it in everything. We just watched Aliens on stream for a watch party, and I was like, oh, the blue lightning bolts. And then we watched a few weeks back as our weekly watch party, we saw Back to the Future, and I was like, oh, the blue lightning bolts. Like any 80s. So I feel you there, and at this point I'm expecting it. But when it comes to the effects of some of the older Doctor Who's, and I don't even know what year, like if you're watching the first year Doctor Who came out, but I imagine that's really, really early on, because it's like that with Star Trek, with the original series. It's like all of a sudden Spock walks in with an alien, and it's just a little dog with antennas on, and you're sitting there going, okay, I'm trying my best to you know, break from reality here on this one. Yeah. You have to do extra mental work.
Oh yeah, it's like, I think what I learned, I took a class that was like the history of acting and film and some like film history stuff, and it's one of the things that I have to do is learn to appreciate it in its own right, like in its own time, not compared to what we have now, which can be really hard to do sometimes. But I think that when you start to look at it through that lens, it's like watching Charlie Chaplin, you know, like there's no audio besides music kind of thing, but you can appreciate what he was doing in his time and like the technique that still went into what they did.
Yeah, like the whole, I'd imagine if someone was younger and they were watching it and they're compared to, or they were used to like modern day acting, and then they saw, you know, an old, what were they called? Like not a talkie yet. What's it before a talkie? Black and white, like
I mean, typically it would just be like silent films.
Silent film, yeah. So then they probably think, oh, where's the sound? Where are the jokes? Why are they overacting? This is so awkward. Why are they so bad at acting? And it's like, well, because they didn't have sound, they had to overact. And there's different kinds of humor too, where there is physical humor. I enjoy physical humor a lot. I employ a lot of physical humor Obviously it's a little bit tougher sometimes when I'm like sitting at my desk, but as you guys have probably seen, I do a lot of like wacky facial expressions sometimes, and I know this from my thumbnails. I move my hands a lot. I'm Italian, but also, you know, there's like that physical humor. There's low humor, there's high humor, like highbrow stuff, very contextual things. And so there's a lot that goes into it, but I think that, you know, I thought those were pretty cool. Like, I haven't watched through any of the Charlie Chaplin stuff, but the stuff that I have seen, I'm just sitting there in admiration by like them paving a path with that and making humor without sound. You know, I think there's a lot of creativity that comes out of limitations.
Oh, for sure. It's one of those that I kind of came to appreciate it, because like watching older films, you're kind of like, oh, like what it, you know, like, well, compared to current day acting, you're kind of like, what is this? And like when we went back and studied it from like a, you know, like an educational standpoint, watching the medium of screen acting develop was so fascinating, because there was only theater and vaudeville before that. So they hired mostly vaudeville performers who are, you know, big, physical, and like that's how you convey things. But even with Charlie Chaplin, who had a lot of vaudeville background, like it was so carefully choreographed, like the way that it would look like he's stumbling around, but he had planned it through to every, you know, every mark that he would hit. So I don't know. I think the more that we look at it and the more that we can understand that time too, I think the more that it becomes impressive. And especially with, you know, again, working with limitation, like you were saying.
Yeah, well, I'll have to go watch some Charlie Chaplin after this.
Yeah, if you watch The Kid, that one, actually, I cried. It made me cry. Like there's some really sincere moments, even like without dialogue, that made me feel things.
The King?
The Kid.
Kid, okay.
Yeah.
My ears were like, it was either Kid or King. The Kid. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out because you know, I just started watching kind of casually. I started watching an anime. I just finished up a rewatch through of Fringe, this like entire sci-fi series that came out. And so I was like, you know that feeling when you just finish up a show and you're dizzy because you're now out in the real world without your safety blanket of this other world. I was like, oh my god, what do I watch? So now I'm double fisting two shows right now. I'm doing this anime show called Steins Gate, science fiction, go figure. And then I'm also watching this like older show called Bewitched, and you know it's I'm sitting there, you know, watching through like some of the effects and things like that. And you really do have to just factor in the time when it came out, you know, the humor, things like that. And I was really enjoying it. So I have the older show, and then I'm you know, double fisting that with an anime right now. Yeah. And it's really interesting, but you really have to like switch gears. Yeah. For depending on which one you're watching. And I think that's really cool. So maybe I'll have to add in some Charlie Chaplin, really get my brain working here. Okay, this is this era. And I don't know. I think that's fun. I like the idea of that. So I'll have to add that.
One I would absolutely recommend, and this isn't Chaplin, but as someone who loves comedy, His Girl Friday. It's got Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn in it. That one surprised me. It's in black and white, but the humor, the comedy is so like, it's just like back and forth, like that kind of back and forth. It's so. That was probably one of my favorites that I watched for the class that I did. So in the vein of like humor, I would highly recommend that one.
What was the class called?
It was just like the history of acting in American film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of just going through like older to present to kind of see the changes over time and how the medium of screen acting has developed. Yeah.
Did you talk about? I'll have to check that one out too, because I do like a lot of that quippy stuff, the back and forth, because it's just very engaging, and it's humor that like builds off of each other. You know what I mean? It's not just these like standalone lines, or these standalone moments where it's like, oh, remember that time that I this thing happened, and then you have a flashback, and
Yeah.
it's a standalone. Like you can take that clip, and it's its own joke.
Exactly.
But like
Yeah.
the thing with these clips is like they build and they
Oh, yeah.
snowball. So that's pretty cool. I'll have to check that one out. Yeah. And plus, I haven't seen much with Katharine Hepburn because
She's
I know Audrey
very
Hepburn.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
My sister's obsessed with Audrey, so I knew Audrey growing up. So I'll have to see a little bit before that. Maybe, is it a generation before that? Start going back?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit before, because I know with her, she was in, it was, you know, the era of like sound film, but like before color film was introduced, I guess. So it's black and white. But just her comedic timing and like her, whenever she's paired with Cary Grant, like they just have such a natural like back and forth with each other, the pace, like
Chemistry.
yeah, oh, it's so good.
Nice.
And like there's, you know, a little bit of the physical comedy with it too, and like it was just such a good, yeah, that one I think I bought it. I bought it and I have it.
Oh, I like that. Did you talk
Yeah.
in that class? Did you talk about? Because I know it's not film, but did you like? Was the intro of the whole course theater, like live, like
so-
Shakespeare, and then moving on from that?
In, I guess the class itself started because I did like a film history class, so like how the film camera was developed and the moving into the moving picture kind of thing. But so we kind of started where like film cameras had been developed and at the very beginning of what they were doing. So like really old film, it's like George Méliès, I think he's French, and it was like To the Moon, and basically it's like it was all shot on backdrops, you know.
Yeah.
And like it's all very like gestures, and they he figured out some of the early special effects of like, oh, if we do like a poof of smoke and like cut and then start recording again, it looks like the person's disappeared, you know, like
Yeah.
with, so a lot of like the tinkering with that. And so kind of early film before you had more detail, when it had to be in like a giant glass box to produce these films because you needed as much light as possible, you know. And
Yeah.
so we started kind of from that area. So we did
What
kind of,
time period was that?
ooh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll super get this wrong if I guess. Yeah, I can't remember exactly when it started, but
Was it before Hollywood?
yeah, so Hollywood kind of developed after. So like a lot of the like film camera and stuff, it was in Europe, and I think a lot of stuff was on the East Coast, and the movement kind of happened there, partially with the gold rush, but partially with the weather just being a little
Yeah.
bit better out there.
I was about to ask with the light, because you mentioned the glass box with the lighting.
Yeah,
So I was like, okay, because if it's before Hollywood, it's before they realized, oh, we need a place that doesn't rain, that
Yeah.
has lots of sun.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
one of their, some of their early issues were being in a glass box in the summer with really big, you know, equipment, with big costumes, with all of that. Like heat was
Just
not,
sweaty.
yeah, but to like the
Oh, no.
worst degree.
Oh no, because it's really like you said, a glass box. I'm trying to visualize it. I'm actually just visualizing a greenhouse right now. But
Yeah.
like, if it's glass, it's gonna magnify the sun too. So
Yeah.
they're just sitting there like.
They developed some
miserable.
that had like a roof that kind of like you could like swing it open during the day, like so you could like open and close it. But yeah,
Oh my god! I hope they had fans in there too.
yeah, I
someone
hope
to
some kind of
fan. I don't think it's that
ventilation.
early.
Yeah,
Hey, they probably have fan tech at that
yeah,
time, right?
to some degree of it.
Spinning blades of some sort. Okay, gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I did. What was it? I feel like I've done in college. I've definitely taken courses around. I think they were just like art courses mostly. So I do have a good understanding of like entertainment, the history of entertainment, and you know, art, and how some of these things will tie in. And it's really cool. And I don't know if in turn, you know, this isn't something that bugs me too much, but I never minded when something was like black and white, or you know, if it's just a little different, you know. 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes you have to understand that things progress, and maybe they change, general audience changes, and also with like the internet and with a lot of developed technology, you know, these production companies, these places are getting feedback, and so now they have a better understanding of what audiences even want. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that I think history's fun. I'm not the best with like political history. I'm not gonna lie. I start to like zone out sometimes if I get too many dates thrown at me.
Yeah.
But I love like the history of art, and so don't mind me if I'm like crying like, what year was that?
Yeah. I was so bad with remembering years. That was my biggest thing in history. They'd be like, all right, well, what year was this battle? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can tell you about the battle, but I can't tell you when it happened.
If it's specific, I don't want it. If it's a decade, I can remember that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was really good when I was doing like AP. So I took a lot of AP classes in high school, which thank goodness I went to college, because those cost money to pass those exams, but they help save money if you do go to college, because they will count as credits. So I took a lot of AP classes, and I took an AP US history, and it was great because US is very, very new. And so once we hit the 1900s, all of a sudden we started getting more entertainment stuff in there, and I was like, yes, and I knew it so much better than the AP European history, which pretty much all I took from that was like King Louis had someone paint muscles into his calves because it was like, I don't know, sexy back then to have muscly calves. And then I remembered like Gorbachev. Like, I don't remember too much about that, but 1900s US, all of a sudden it was like, I know, was it early 1900s and 1910s, sports like baseball was starting to like really come up. Then you have like 1910, 1920s, you've got flappers. Like, that was my sweet spot, was like art, expression, and entertainment. And that's when I knew there was something there. And I imagine you had one of those aha moments.
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah. I know we're getting close to 6, and I don't want to keep you too long because you've got a stream to get to. So I'm going to ask you just a couple other questions from chat, and if you want to short form answer, I just want to try to get through at least like 3. Yeah. Okay. So I guess as succinctly as possible answering them. Okay. All right, the first one. If you were to imagine your available stream energy on an 100% scale, how much energy do you use for home streams versus IRL streams?
Well, I mean, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I'd say that it's like you exert at least like twice the amount of energy. So a lot of times when I'm doing IRL streams, I remember that it would have to be like 4 hours. Because after that like 3-4 hour mark, I remember I would like turn off stream and I'd be exhausted and I'd drive and I'd be like, after that, because like your brain is just having to multitask to the max. Yeah. And I think people don't realize this, is there is an aspect of like more energy versus when you're doing maybe like a hosting thing or, an hour long, maybe 2 hour long podcast. It's like there's energy, but when you are running the entire thing and it's like that stream and you're outside, you're in the sun, you're in the elements, you're fixing tech things, it's going to be about twice as much of the energy. So I can easily do an 8-hour stream at home. Well, not easily, I'll get tired for sure, but the tiredness I can combat a little bit more by having pulling up videos on the stream or like playing music in the background. It's not entirely me doing an IRL stream, sometimes doing the full song and dance if things are breaking or whatever's happening on the back end. So I'd say double the energy, which will cut down your stream time by half.
Yeah. Let's see. The next question is, where do you think the trend of movies will go in the future? As in, will it still be line based on the script by the actors, like most movies, or do you think lines will be improvised on the spot by the actors, like Thor Ragnarok was, in which the director said almost 80% of the lines were improvised?
Wait, was that asking about the trend of movies? Like,
yeah.
Will they do more of that?
Yeah, I guess it seems to be asking.
It depends on the director.
Yeah.
It just depends on the director. That's the beauty of because I mean, if you look back at all the other Thors and like MCU stuff before that, I think Guardians of the Galaxy started to introduce more humor into MCU, but before that it was all very like fatalistic and serious with like occasional jokes. But I think Taika Waititi brought in some really great stuff there. You know, as a director, looking at his previous work, you know, it was a lot of improv, it was a lot of jokes, and a lot of just like really funny, lighthearted humor. And so look at the first, you know, Thor movies and how serious they are, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, okay, we've got like Fat Thor, we've got, or Dad Bod Thor is the, I think, the proper term, but we've got these like quippy like back and forths now, and they're just, you can tell everyone's having fun on it. And I think that depends on the director.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, obviously there is a bit of a narrative that you need to stick to, and so there's some movie magic that goes on with like chemistry of the director and chemistry of the actors, and that's not something that's necessarily going to hopefully be forced in the future. I think that's something that has to be fostered and encouraged if they do want it, but I think that really depends on you know, like the higher ups, and there's a lot of factors at play there, and hopefully they don't try to force improv, because I imagine some people would, you know, struggle at it, and it could be a lot of really awkward moments.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely depends on the actors that you have and the director, because I feel like some actors work better being on the spot, and some of them work better with like, okay, this is the script and this is what we're doing. And not to say that one's better than the other necessarily, you get different products, but I feel like not every type of movie and script needs it or lends itself to that.
Yeah, and it's also just kind of funny in general, like you mentioned Ragnarok, because you have these characters that are like gods, and they're showing these weaknesses and they're showing these awkward moments. And so, you know, the story, like you said, the story and the characters also lend themselves to being funny, because, you know, maybe in a comedy, them saying those same lines wouldn't hit as right, but it's funny because it's a god saying it, you know, in a god way, you know, in his voice. Like, it's just funny because of all of the little things that feed into it. But, you know, if someone was randomly saying, piss off ghost, like, it might not be as funny in a different context.
Yeah.
So, stuff.
The next question, what do you think about Steins Gate?
I just started on season 2. I was a little annoyed by the main character just because he'd like talked like he was really pompous, but I'm just getting into it, so honestly I don't really have too much to say on it. I think that there's some really fun moments, and I'm excited to see where it goes, but I think the main character is starting to take seriously or deal with the consequences of altering time so much, and because he was treating it so lightly before, like they're just like, oh, okay, let's change this, let's change that, and now he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, because now Akihabara is not, you know, anime central. I changed an entire city suddenly, you know, so it's starting to see some consequences there.
And then the last question here, since she mentioned she doesn't mind black and white and development, how did she like WandaVision?
Wait, did I say I didn't like black and white?
No, sorry, that you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind it. Okay. I loved WandaVision. I mean, that's I was cosplaying through WandaVision and like doing all this stuff. So sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to approach this, because I was like, oh my god, I was so loud about WandaVision on social media. I loved WandaVision. I had a really fun time with it. And you know, I was thinking a bit about WandaVision earlier when we were talking about how you were enjoying some of these older comedies for that time and for what they were. And I remember them starting on this, you know, the black and white style in the first episode of WandaVision, because it goes through these incremental sitcoms through the decades in that show, for the most part almost per episode, kind of. And I remember I was like laughing a ton, and I think that's what inspired me to go click on Bewitched and just like kind of watch it casually the other day, because I don't mind it. Like, I enjoy those funny little moments that they add in there, and I think that like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different kinds of humor, and so if you can recognize that and not be degrading because it's not your favorite kind of humor, and you can just like appreciate it for what it is, then there's a lot of avenues open for you.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed WandaVision.
I think that they did, from a film standpoint, they did an excellent job at nailing the format of each era that they tackled. And then they had like really creepy in a good way cuts from it. Like in the very first episode, there was like a moment where it got really quiet and dark, and the like camera angle changed, and it just stood out so much. And I think the actors did a great job at like nailing the style of each era as well. It was a really creative show, and I appreciated that because they tried something so different and it worked really well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do, with what Disney does with the MCU for Loki as well, because I feel like Loki is also going to be, obviously it's not going through decades and time periods and different kinds of acting and media, but it's gonna be it looks to be just as zany, if not more, and we're gonna be dealing with time jumps. So speaking of Steins Gate and all that, I'm excited to see what they do with that. And I can't believe I have to wait like a whole month or whatever. I know. For it,
I'm like, I can't. There's a whole month of like nothing right now, and I'm like, I need something to fill the time. I'm
filling it with anime, so maybe more Star Trek probably. But yeah, it's good. I don't know. They've been putting out some good stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right.
What are you gonna fill it with?
I've been rewatching New Girl recently, so I rewatch comedy shows more than anything because watching a new drama show stresses me out because I don't know what's gonna happen, so I get really anxious about it. And I don't know. There's something about rewatching a drama show or a comedy show to me. Like it's also. Ensemble comedies are kind of my favorites, so getting to rewatch the dynamic and just laugh, because I feel like it just kind of, for me, it helps me kind of de-stress and just relax a little bit.
Yeah, and they tend to be a little episodic and more short form, and then you can, if you've already seen it before, it's like a comfort show at that point too.
Yeah
I feel you.
All right, it is 5:58, so I'm going to let you go, but before you do, first I want to thank you so much for hanging out. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad to have another chance to get to hang out with you. So
yay, maybe Korean barbecue one of these days.
Yes, I'm always down for Korean barbecue anytime.
I think I'm technically full vaxxed on like Thursdays, like the 14-day period afterwards, so maybe some Korean barbecue one of these days. I'm
absolutely.
Just counting down the minutes until I'm like 14.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I'm down for Korean barbecue any day. But thank you again. I have your link in chat, guys. If you go do the !guest command, it'll link you to her channel. Go check her out. She will be live literally right after this, so
very soon.
Is there anything that you want to plug or promote?
Well, I mean, if you want to head over to the stream, that's always fun. I'm AyyTrae. Feel free to bring your thoughts and opinions, especially around things science fiction. If you also like music, I play live music on the stream. I play guitar. If you're new to guitar too, I'm always more than happy to do like brief little talks on things that have helped me through it. Like I'm always more than happy to chat with people. I'll be playing some spooky games after this. We're gonna be dealing with some zombies after some chatting. So if you want to see Last of Us 2 content, part 2 content, I'll be doing that later today. But I guess I don't know. It's always awkward trying to like plug yourself, but I've got social media. If you enjoy anything along the lines of puns, skits, cosplay, stuff like that, science fiction, music, well, I'm right here. Feel free to start a conversation.
But yeah, I can absolutely vouch. Trae is amazing and a wonderful person, and you will absolutely enjoy your time on her channel. She makes everyone feel very welcome and comfortable.
Thank you.
But I will transition us over, say goodbye to you so you can get on your stream. But thank you everyone for hanging out. I'll be back in a second. But say goodbye to our lovely guest.